Real Jim, please stand up. Well, Jim Garden's not here, so I'm going to turn it over to Jim Willis. And he's going to give the presentation. I think he said it probably last 15 minutes or so, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming out here. This site, first of all, I'm Jim Phil. I know many of you, but not all of you. I am superintendent of the Lenawee Ag Committee. I started as superintendent back in September. I have been with the district for many, many years in several different capacities. I certainly can't take credit for the vision of this property. The property was purchased approximately 10 years ago with 2 different purchases. For one reason, we were running out of room behind the tech center, formerly known as VOTEC, to do some traditional farming. We had corn, and I don't know if we had beans back behind the tech center or not, but we certainly had corn back there, and we were just running out of room. So this became available at a very reasonable price to us. We purchased it, as I said, in a couple different purchases. And then after we had the property, our agri-tech program pretty much moved out here. And then the visioning really started, the thought process. Well, what really can we do with this property? And over the last 10 years, this is where we are right now. Where we end up, we're really not sure. One thing we do know is we do need to build a building out here with some classroom space in it. We are going to house our ornamental horticulture out here, our agri-tech class, and also a science class, natural science class that meets out here twice a week in the evenings. We need a space for them. We have sold additional property to JCC. As you know, we sold property to JCC to build the building. They're bursting at the seams. We've sold additional property to JCC that takes out our ornamental horticulture program, so that's why we have to build it out here. Again, where will it go from here? This is our vision. Talk a lot about, talk a lot about, where we've been. About a year and a half ago, we hired SHW, an architectural firm, to develop a site plan for us. Through that process, we had quite a process. We didn't just sit around a table and say, this is what we want to do. We had 2 full-day meetings, a half-a-day meeting out here, plus a follow-up meeting that involved about 20 students. We had superintendents invited, we had neighbors invited. One of the Roosings came to a couple of our meetings. I think, help me out, LEDC, Michigan State Extension.
3 institutions of higher education in the community.
And we got together and through a process facilitated by the architectural firm, we as a group decided what this site should look like and where we should go with this. So it wasn't just a bunch of educators sitting around the table saying this is what we should do. Ideally, our goal is net zero energy. And we'll talk about that, how we would accomplish that in the future. Sustainable agriculture, education focused on green careers. This site, we're going to talk about many different uses of the site, but the primary use for us, for our purposes, is still the education of students. Those students could go through 88 years old, or even older, but it's the education of students through a number of different avenues. We want to be a community site. We don't want to lock the gate at 5 o'clock and say, sorry, you can't come in. If people want to come out and walk the trails through the woodlot, or they want to cross-country ski through there in the wintertime, we would love to have people do that. We would like to have community use of this property. Water management and conservation. This piece of property happens to be at the headwaters of the south branch of the Raisin River. So it is a very important piece of property as far as water quality as it heads heads toward Lake Erie. Flexible space here. We will talk a little bit more about entrepreneurs, startups, potential in one of our buildings that we propose to build out here. And again, K to 16 and actually beyond that. Please ask questions at any time if you do have questions. This is a 75-acre site, approximately 28 acres are woodlocked. Wetlands you've probably have seen. This is the building, the machine storage, and this is the classroom for the Agri-Tech class. You've seen the machine storage, or if you haven't, it's out there. We do pretty much still do pretty much traditional agriculture out here. That, I think, is going to change. We have we have a traditional septic tank, and we receive our gas from Citizens Gas currently. Some of our uses, again, are three programs. Another program we have at the Tech Center, depending on where we go with this site, is currently called Careers in Electrical Engineering. Next year, the name is going to change to Alternative Energy and Robotics. So that program could have significant use for this site also. Aquaculture, there's a couple tanks back here. We used to do tilapia. We're doing koi right now. Certainly could expand on that. Agricultural test plots. STEM is an acronym for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. Oftentimes we hear this acronym in the news. You know, it's a big initiative across the nation to get more students involved in science, technology, engineering, and math. Environmental education programs. We will transition what we currently do in Heritage Park out to this site. Several hundred school children, mostly elementary children, every year come out for field trips. Adult education, workforce development, again, the entrepreneurial demonstration sites, post-secondary courses, community education, and certain private sector R&D. Energy options, passive solar, and as we go through the plans, you'll see that this is an integral part of what our plan is. Photovoltaics, solar thermal, geo-exchange, geothermal, heat, biomass, anaerobic digester, and wind. Some of these aren't in the plan necessarily, but we certainly would talk to companies that may like to put a demonstration, for instance, a wind generator on the property. We've located the best sites the architect has for wind generators. We do not plan on using that as one of our energy sources, but if somebody would like to put one on the property, use it as a demonstration for their company, as long as our students can be involved in collecting data, aggregating that data, using the data, we're more than happy to host that. Yes, sir?
Yeah, is there any chance you can move the one out that's in the parking lot that can't get any wind, that's protected?
You know, that's a potential. It depends on our alternative energy in robotics class. If they're primarily out here, I see that would probably be changed.
If you're going to leave it there, let's get it up high enough so it's above the tree line and above the building line. I mean, we can't capture all the wind that's there.
Sure. Well, that certainly is generating energy when it moves, when it does catch the wind. But that's primarily for the class, again, for data collection and things. It's not, the primary purpose is not to produce energy. It's to study the data that comes off it. However, if it was producing more energy, there's more data.
The
Right.
data,
Yes,
it's
I
not
know.
accurate, I'm telling you.
Yes, I know.
The statistics that you're going to use for the cost, if you're using cost effectiveness, you got to get all the electricity. I mean, you need to capture all the wind to the site. You're not capturing all the wind, so if you're using a cost analysis, whether it's whatever paper stuff, I can tell you, it's not going to make it what it's at.
And there may be some zoning issues too. I wasn't with, I've actually been supervisor, and then that was initially installed, but depending on height restrictions and size restrictions and things of that sort. That could obviously present some challenges for going higher at the particular location where it is there in the main tech center campus. Obviously out here doing a different jurisdiction, that may be a little bit different. I'm sure some of you are actively involved in the discussion in the southeast corner of the county, and all of the issues related to that there probably better than we do. But that would be, I think, something that we would have to be concerned with as well. But I think Jim hit it very well in the sense that that really is purely for educational purposes. And while yes, we want to optimize energy production, our primary purpose for that is really for students to understand how they work, why they work, analyze the data, even if it's not optimal data, and be able to say that, okay, when we take that and compare it against the photovoltaic panels that we also have at the tech center, we see that over a period of time, those photovoltaics produce 10 times the amount of energy. Now, maybe the wind generator or turbine is higher, maybe that would generate a closer comparison to the photovoltaics. So those are things I think that we want the students to be able to articulate and understand as well.
Larry, thank you for bringing that up. I think I've talked pretty much about this slide already. That, as I said, the board did approve the site plan. The next board meeting, the April board meeting, we will be taking an action item to seek, draw out specs and seek bids for an architect for the program, at least for phase one. And this is phase one. Right now, we are sitting in this building right here. This is the whole building. The other is the greenhouse that's sitting just to the north of this. On the bottom, this is Tipton Highway down here. Phase one would include a new agri-science building. It's basically classrooms, some restroom space, some ancillary office space with an attached greenhouse. As I said, we need to build this building, for ourselves. And we have money to build the building. We don't have money to put the systems in right now. We are seeking donations through, or grants through foundations, talking to local folks about, in-kind donations, monetary donations for some of the systems that may be involved in it. Also in phase one would include a lot of site work, the grading and the driveways. The driveway is a little bit different. And in this phase, the two existing buildings stay put. The greenhouse is our most energy inefficient building that the LASD owns. We got a good deal on it a number of years ago, and it's very energy inefficient. You can see what would be included in the building. The cost estimate here is $3.6 million. We believe is very high. We think $3 million, just under $3 million. But that includes the geothermal. It includes the photovoltaic. It includes the gray water that's sent through a swamp area and then used for irrigation. And it also includes a composting toilets. So for us to build a building, it would be significantly lower than this, closer to $1.5 million. But this includes all of the bells and whistles of our vision, the alternative energy pieces of this building.
Some of the infrastructure that would be necessary for the future development phases would also be included in phase one. So you'll see as June goes on that the cost of phase one is a little bit higher than phases 2 and 3 because of that fact. All of the site preparation, earthwork, a lot of the infrastructure, utility work, the geothermal wells, which are proposed by the architect who did the master planning process, would all be part of phase one. So that really kind of increases that price a little bit. Another component in that estimate, our architects wanted to be very conservative in providing us this information. And